Hello everyone. I am Raghavendra A and my teammate is Chetan DR and we are from 6th semester Department of Information Science and Engineering, GM Institute of Technology. So the topic of our project is heart disease prediction using a logistic regression algorithm. As you all know that the data mining is a broad field and is a process used by many companies to turn their data into useful information. For example, an early form of data mining was used by many companies to analyze and predict their huge amount of data from supermarkets. So in this domain, I have implemented logistic algorithm to predict heart disease of a human beings. Now let's see what is the concept actually and what is logistic regression and what for it is used. We are in a period of information age where the traditional industry can pressure to rapid shift of the industrial revolution for industrialization. And it is all based on the economy of our information technology. Nowadays, terabytes of data are produced and stored in day-to-day life. This is just because of fast growth in the information technology. And the data which is collected and converted into knowledge by data analysis using various combinations of algorithm, as such as a priori algorithm, association rule mining algorithm, logistic regression algorithm, KMN algorithm, many more. For example, the huge amount of data regarding the patients is generated by hospitals such as X-ray results, lung results, heart paining results, and chest pain results, personal healthcare results, etc. But there is no effective use of such data which is generated from the hospitals. Some certain tools are used to extract such kind of information from the database for detection of heart disease. So the main of our project is the main theme of the project is the prediction of the heart disease using a machine learning technique by summarizing current few researchers. In this project, we have used a logistic regression algorithm and the healthcare data which classifies the patients whether they are having a heart disease or not according to the information in their health record. Also have tried to use this data model which predicts the patients whether they are having heart disease or not in the future. The main aim why I chose this concept means the yes, yeah, and unfortunate thing that WHO, World Health Organization, has estimated that on an average, every year 12 million deaths occurs worldwide because of this cardiovascular diseases. So from this domain, we can predict it earlier only, and we can take the future preventive measures also. In this model, we have used logistic regression, naive-based algorithms, comparing and confusion matrix. So let us know what is actually logistic regression. It's nothing but one among machine learning techniques. It is an algorithm, one among machine learning techniques which classify the records of a data sets based on value of input fields. It's a type of classification problem actually. It can be used for binary classification also, multi-class classification also. But in our project, we have used only binary classification, which gives only yes or no, true or false, zero or one kind of outputs. We assume that the target variable, understand it clearly, we assume the target variable, target nothing but as output. We considering the target as output. Output is nothing but y. We are considering output as y, naming it as label, and input as x. Input names features. Features x equals features. It is an input, and y is an output. It is a label. It uses like logistic regression uses a sigmoid functions, means we have to calculate the logistic regression problem means there is a formula such as g of z equals 1 by 1 plus e raised to the minus z. From that we can predict the logistic regression problems. Friends, to predict any outputs and to do any mini projects, first we have to collect the data set which are available on many websites. But one among them is, and the most famous and one among them is Kaggle website. This project is is to predict whether the patient is having a 10 years risk of future diseases or not. In this, it includes nearly 4,238 data sets. 4,238 data sets means rows and 16 attributes, nothing but as data adjective, data objects. Previously, I have done a mini project and data analytics using Python. In that, wherein which I have used only 8 data set, but in this heart prediction, heart disease prediction project, I have used 4,238 data sets and 16 attributes. So friends, a confusion matrix is nothing but a table. It is often used to describe the performance of a classification model. On a set of test data, it allows the visualization of performance of an algorithm. It's nothing but to compare the output with actual output with the assumed output. For this kind of comparing algorithms and outputs, we are using confusion matrix. This is the flow chart of our project. We will start at first, we will start collecting the data and we will read it and analyze and normalize it. And we create the data model for using machine learning techniques. And at last, we compare our models using confusion matrix to get the output. This is nothing but just a flow of a project. Now let's get into the core of the project. Here, these are some of the snapshots of the output of our projects. I have used Jupyter Notebooks, which is an excellent place for experimenting with code and data. This was the one thing we know that Python, everyone know that Python is an open source language made for basically any kind of purposes. And we have to import all the packages. Packages have been built in the Python language itself. So Python is coming with built-in models. Python is having a built-in models. Later we can find about more about this. Now there are many libraries in the Python, but for our data purposes, we are using only certain packages. Some of them are NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn. You can see over here at the line number 95, it shows importing Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, Seaborn. These are all just packages. We have imported all the packages at first. Well, NumPy is nothing but simply it supports a multi-dimensional array. In simple words, NumPy is nothing but basically for column and rows. For calculating columns and rows, we are using importing NumPy packages. Pandas is nothing but it allows you to better understanding of data manipulation and analysis purpose and features. And Matplotlib and Seaborn is nothing but it is for your visualization. Visualization for purpose for plotting graphs and all, we use Matplotlib and Seaborn packages. And here in the matplotlib.pyplot, it is a big it is a big package, so we are aliasing it as PLT. We are naming the matplotlib.pyplot as a PLT. The fortunate thing is that we have got them all these packages in our system already. I have already imported a data set in the Jupyter notebook. I have already imported and installed my data set. And in this Matplotlib, I again told you that it is for visualization purpose. To access the path where the actual our data set is present, to access that path, we use pwd command. In the next line, it shows pwd. Pwd is nothing but it's just a command which directly gives you the path where our data set is present. Pwd is used to access the path of a project. We will use pandas package here to access our CSV data. Maybe if we are downloading any projects and data sets from the Google, means it should be having some extension log like .csv and .ipnyb and all. For our project, it is a dot extension of CSV. So to read the CSV data, we are importing pandas package here. There is a variable you can see train, named train. This is nothing but a function. in the 97 line, it shows train equals pd dot read csv. Train is nothing but a function we call here, and it should be equal to pd. Pd here refers to pd dot csv. Pd is nothing but pandas. We are aliasing pd as pandas. Basically, this is used to access package available in pandas. We are using a pd to access our package csv package from the data set. And in the brackets we have specified that the path where the actual CSV file exists. This is c dot users backslash users is showing like this is our path of a project where the CSV file exists. If we didn't get this file path means we can give just command ls, and giving command ls we will get the path. We have to make sure that it should be a single quoted or double quoted. If we give train in the above line, we have to read train variable CSV file. We have given train here, so we are reading the train variable CSV files. We can give any names to that functionality. Have just used a train here. You can use content, describe, or any name for this variable. If we type train.head here means we will get all the 16 attributes. I have told you that in my project there are 16 attributes: male, age, education, current smoker, cigarettes per day, BP meds. These are all the attributes. 16 attributes are present. We will get all the attributes, but giving a dot extension of head, head function which gives only you starting 5 rows, and dot tail gives you the last 5 rows. It's showing that 0 to 4, the starting 5 rows of a project data set. If you give train.tail functionality means it will show the last 5 data sets for all attributes. Once again, now we are using a describe function here, which basically used to view some basic statistical details, nothing but like percentile to find percentile, mean, standard deviation, minimum and maximum value, to find of these data frame. For finding these statistical details, we are using a describe function here. When this method is applied to series of string, this series of string means male and age, education are the data type of strings. So it returns a different outputs. And in next column, next line in the 100 line, we are using train.columns. Next, giving a function train.columns which gives you all the 16 attributes. How many attributes are present? Nothing but how many attributes means in the sense columns are present. It shows all the attributes. These are all strings, so the data type is referred to as object. At last you have it has showed that data type equals object, because these are all the strings, so the data type is showing object. In the next line, the data type function. Which I have shown you here is to see what the data type object is having. Like male is having integer of type 64 bit, and age is having integer type, and education is having float types. To show the data type, we use the extension d types, data types. In next line, if we have to find the number of rows, how many number of rows and number of columns are present means, we will use the train.shape variable name, function name dot shape extension functionality is used, which gives you the total number of columns. I've told you earlier that 4,238 rows are present and 16 columns are present. It shows here. And in the next step, to find the null values, because in the large amount of data sets means having a 4,238 data sets, we are having some blocks where the values will not be present, means there will be there is a missing values will be present. So to those values are called as null values, are called NaN, none values. So to check how many blocks are null values, we are using train.isNull of sum function. So the male column here it is showing that the male column is showing 0 value and the age column is showing 0 missing value, but the education column is having 105 missing values. And the cigarettes per day column is also having 29 missing block values. Likewise, some columns contains may missing values. So now we will drop all these missing values by using a train equals train dot drop NA function. Because if we have these missing values means it will be affect our future. It will show some error in our future output. So I will drop all these missing values by using a train dot drop NA function. Drop NA. NA refers to none value. It refers to none. None is nothing but missing values. We are dropping the missing values. Again, now if we check by using prime.shape function means it shows that missing rows has been dropped. Previous it was 4,238 rows. Now it is showing 3,656 rows. We are only dropping the missing values, not columns. Now if we give some same train dot is null of some function means it shows there is no missing value. See here, there is no missing value. Earlier it was 115, 105, 29 missing values. Now we have removed all the missing values. So now it is showing nothing. So the missing values are zeros. Here, at last, the data type is of integer types. So further operations, we have to drop some values, means column to differentiate inputs and outputs. We have to differentiate what the input is and what the output is. There are 16 columns. We have to differentiate the input columns and output columns here. And in Python, if you give the access value, it's showing in the 109 line at last, access equals 1. If you give the access equals 0 means it represents rows. But we are dropping here only columns. So we have given only access equals 1. Here we differentiate, listen it carefully, friends. So here we differentiate x as inputs and y as outputs. X is nothing but a features and y is nothing but a labels. We have removed the column 10-year CHD. In our 16 attributes, there is an column called 10-year CHD column. We are dropping it because we are differentiating output and input columns. So we are considering 15 attributes as input and only 10-year CHD column as output. Why? If we see the output means it shows all the 15 columns except 10-year CHD. Here in the output index, male, age, education, current smoker, these are all showing 15 attributes. There is no 10-year CHD column because we have removed it. And if you see the output, it shows all the 15 columns and it shows the label y. Y equals 3,656 with the none value because none value is nothing but it doesn't show anything. It considered as 0 only. We have labeled y as only 10-year CHD attribute with one column, 3,656 rows. And y and x features as label. Y is the output, it is considered as label. X is the features considered as 50 features consisting of 15 attributes. And the same 3,656 rows. In this method, we have just differentiated inputs and output. Input as I repeat again, input as 15 columns, output as only one column, nothing but label y. That is 10-year CHD column. Again, if you see the column list, there are 15 columns are present. Male, age, education, current smoker, cigarettes per day, BP meds, prevalent, diabetes, BMI, heart rate, glucose, except 10-year CHD column. We have removed it. These are all only X columns. These are all only features, X, these are all inputs. Now, in coming to next line, in the 112th line, now there are 3,656 patients. are there. And so we have to find unique persons who are affected with heart disease and who are not affected with heart disease. Among 3,656 disease, 3,656 persons, we have to make differentiate of having a persons who are having a heart disease and who are having nothing, no heart disease. So we use unique element and unique count here. So the first column, it represents zeroth column. It represents ninth, 3099 rows. And in the first column, it represents 557 patients. In 3656, we have divided into two columns, 0 and 1. I have told you earlier in the logistic regression algorithm, it is a type of classification problem. It is consisting of yes or no types or 0 or 1 types. 0 means they are not, they are, 1 is nothing but they are having a heart disease. 0 is nothing but they don't have any heart disease. Now we have differentiated that in 3099 people are affected with heart disease, cardiovascular heart disease, and remaining 557 patients are being affected. Now this next step, line number 115, is a bit confusing. Understand it clearly, friends. We have to first import the train test split package from the sklearn module. It is a library. sklearn module selection is a library. From this, we have to import this train test split package. It is the library present which contains the this sklearn module is the library which contains the train test split module packages. Which is why we use this function means this library means it is used to train your data. If we wanna get output means first we have to train our data. We have to train our data and we have to test our data. This is the concept behind our output. We have to train our data and we have to test our data. Afterwards, we will get the output. So now we are having the entire data. We can use some values to train. We are having a 3656 data. We have to train some values and we have to test some values. For example, at size it's showing 0.0. You can see over here, the size is describing showing 0.2. 0.2 is nothing but I'm using the ratio of 80:20. 80:20, it should never be reminded. It should never be under like less than 70%. We have to make it as 70:30 ratio or 80:20 ratio, but never it should be less than 70%. Because there are large data are available data sets, it may affect our future output. So 80:20 means 80% data will be trained and 20% data will be tested. I'm splitting my 3656 rows as the two types to train some values and to test some values. I am training 80% of my data sets. I am testing only 20% of my data sets. Now listen it carefully. I have told you earlier to have pen and paper. Now just draw just roughly two boxes, X and Y labeled. So now assume we have two boxes like CPU or stack. That is nothing but as confusion matrix. I'm talking about confusion matrix here. One box is called as X box. It's better you draw it now itself only. Afterwards, you'll get confused. One box, one stack is called as X and another one stack is called as Y. We divide, I'm telling it slowly, we divide the X box as two parts as in the ratio of 80:20. The upper part should be X box upper part. I'm talking only about the X box, not about Y box. X box has two parts in the ratios 80:20. The upper part should be 80% and the lower should be smaller part. It should be lower part should be smaller in the ratio of 20% below. And now the first the lower part 20% part is labeled as X test. We are labeling it as X test and the upper part is as X1. The upper part is named as X1 and lower 20% is named as X test. Now listen carefully. We divide it into 80:20 ratio, right? Now in the upper part in the X1, there is an 80%, which is further again divided into two parts. X train, upper part is X train, and the lower again in that only X train and XCV. XCV is nothing but CV is nothing but for cross validation purpose. And in the lower part, we have a X test. We have to do the same procedure for the Y box also. That is in the Y box, at first we have to divide it into 80:20 ratio. In the below 20 ratio, we have to make it as Y test. And in the above Y1 box, we have to further divide that Y1 box into Y train and Y CV. Now you neglect XCV and YCV parts. Just consider X test and Y test and X train and Y train part. Because first we are training the data set. I have told you, training the data set is nothing but we have to train our data set. At first we are training data set above upper part only. I'm talking about upper 40% part. I'm talking above upper 40% talk is a train set, X train and Y train. We are talking about that only now. We will train our data set now. Now in 3,656 rows means we divided it into 80:20 ratio, right? Nothing but 20% means 732. We'll give 732 numbers to the X test and Y test, and 3,056 means in 80%, nothing but 2,925. We are giving it for X1 box, only for X1 box. Again for class again we have further subdivided into X train and XCV. For XCV we are giving as 585 for cross validation. For X train set 2339, 2339 rows we are giving. Now we are having in the X and Y train 2339, and in the X CV we are having 585 rows, and in the X test below X and Y test box we are having 732 values. This is clear? Is this clear? Now it shows that in the X train shape, here output is showing in the X train shape 15 in everything 15 rows will 15 in the X box only 15 attributes will present, but in the Y box, Y train box, Y, as I have told you that Y is the output box label and it is the features. In the Y box only one columns is present, only one columns. In the X box, in the train set X 2239 rows are present, and the XCV box 585 rows are present, and in the X test shape box 732 rows are present. Here also same rows are present, but the column is only one. It's showing none. I think this is clear to everyone. Now further proceeding that, in next line, now we are having standard scalar package. Standard scalar is nothing but it's a package, nothing but it standardizes the data. It is only for input. This comment, this entire 116 cell is only entirely meant for inputs, only for Xbox, not for output. Make it sure that it is only for inputs, not for outputs. Here we are using standard scalar. It is for standardizing your data. It is only for inputs, nothing but for Xbox. Xbox is nothing but features, not labels. Here we consider the standard deviation. Here we considered only Xbox means X train, X1, XCV, X test box will appear only. We are considering only two parts, standard deviation and mean. Have shown you earlier. I think someone has raised hands. I'll clear your doubts later. We are considering here standard deviation column and mean deviation column only, mean only. Okay. We are considering standard deviation and mean. In the standard deviation, we are considering it as 1 and mean as 0. It is for standardizing data, because many inputs are having many kind of values. So to standard form, we are considering standard deviation as 1 and mean as 0. Now in a 182th line cell, we are importing sklearn model. Sklearn, it is sklearn is nothing but we have to import it for logistic regression. This is a library. We use it for binary classification. Sklearn, we have imported logistic regression here. Uh, this project is only based on logistic regression classification algorithm. We use it for binary classification. For multiple classification, we can use decision tree algorithm. For binary classification, we can use logistic regression algorithm. And again, we have imported accuracy score to show exact accuracy of our model. Someone is raising hand. I'll clear your doubts later. For betterment of accuracy score, we are importing the accuracy score package. And to show and in every machine learning techniques, there are many hyperparameters appear in present, which improve the efficiency of our output. To improve our efficiency, there are many hyperparameters in our Python language. For example, radio volume, if you consider radio means the volume button. The volume button is to amplify your voice, a sound. That is called as, the volume button is called as a hyperparameter. And likewise, for our model, alpha is nothing but as an hyperparameter, which is in the range of -4 to 4, differentiated by 1. Alpha is in the range of -4 to 4, differentiated by 1. Here 10 star x, it refers to 10 power x. Double star refers to, in Python Jupyter Notebook, double star refers to exponential form. For accuracy, we are predicting, we have to predict. So we are placing nothing here. We have to predict it. Now I'll explain this. Now we have trained our data. First, we have trained our data. That is X-train and Y-train. We have trained it. Now we will test it, whether it works or not. The classifier CLF is nothing but a classifier. It uses penalty L1. It is a L1. Penalty is L1. L1 is a regularization, standard regularization. We can change it as L2, L3, and L4 also. L2 also for trial and error method. We are using only L1 here. Afterwards, we'll use L2. We can use it maximum up to 100 iterations, 1000 iterations also. Here the classifier fits X trains and Y trains, because we will test only X and Y trains here. We are dealing with only X and Y trains. So classifier fits only X and Y trains. Now assume it, guys. XCV part is there now. We are assuming XCV. We are putting that XCV into Y predict variable. The variable Y predict, this is so important. Y predict variable consisting of XCV values. Aliasing it. We are aliasing XCV, nothing but Y predict. This is a bit confusing. I repeat again. Classifier trains only X trains and Y trains, and we predict XCV as Y predicate. We are aliasing XCV as Y predicate, and YCV is nothing but YCV only. It is output now. Only volume column. Only volume column is present. So YCV is the actual output we got. And in the confusion matrix, we will compare this Y predicate and YCV. Y predicate is nothing but a value of XCV, and YCV is the actual output. We compare both and append this in, and we will store it in score variable. We'll compare Y predicate and YCV and stored in score variable. We append the score here. We append the score value variable, which consisting of XCV, nothing but Y predicate and YCV, and we append it and print it. Print the score. The maximum, guys, see here, the maximum, this is the actual output of a project. The maximum up to 84.2%. Up to 84.2% accuracy we have got. This is our output of a project. Till now, out of 100%, 88% accuracy is the highest accuracy recorded in the world. Out of 100%, 88% accuracy has been recorded in the world highest accuracy. But our project is showing 84% accuracy. It's a good result actually. Now we have to plot a graph. I've shown you that alpha is a hyperparameter I told you earlier, and the accuracy we got the value of 84%. For accuracy and alpha, we have to plot a graph. There are number of accuracy varies 83%, 41, 83.41, 84.27. Likewise, for these accuracy and alpha, we have to plot a graph. You're plotting accuracy versus alpha versus accuracy graph here by using a visualization. I told you earlier, matplotlib is used for visualization. At earlier only first slide only I have explained you. This is for visualization purpose. For visualization purpose, we are putting a graph. Our graph showing in the increasing order. This is the actual output of our graph. Now the optimal value. Here we are showing optimal value of accuracy. It has been found in the next step. The optimal value is shown that 0.1. For any accuracy, we have to find the optimal value. The optimal value we found that was 0.1%. And in the next cell, if you do trial and error method, and I told you earlier, see here, the penalty value is L2. Before it was L1. Here it was L1. L1. The penalty we have used to describe our accuracy, it was first regularization was L1. Now we are predicting it by showing L2. If you do trial and error method, means our result previously got 84.2%. Now it is showing 84.15%. Now again, after finding accuracy, we are importing confusion matrix now again. Now again, we are this is the last part, concludatory part of my project. Like listen it carefully. If you do that, if we are importing again confusion matrix here. In the confusion matrix, we are showing a y predicate, nothing but aliased XCV value and y test. It is to find the test value. We are doing it for finding test values. So we are using XCV and y predicate. XCV nothing but y predicate and y test. This matrix is to represent true positive. This confusion matrix, this is the actual confusion matrix. This confusion matrix is to it represents true positive, true negative, false positive and false negative. True positive and true negative, false positive and false negative. This is the unique feature of a confusion matrix. We need not to bother about how to calculate this confusion matrix. By importing this package, the system only calculates the matrix and it shows the output. In the diagonal values 605 and 11, it is the actual correct value of our confusion matrix. But this 111 and 5, it is the misclassified. This is the unique feature of the confusion matrix. The rightmost diagonal values are correct and the leftmost diagonal values are wrong. This is the 111 and 5 are misclassified. Now, after getting this result, we import classification report. Means after doing all the project, we have to import our classification report to show the result, actual result, to find all the average scores. In this, in support with this, it is the X and Y test values. This is nothing but X and Y test values. 0 is nothing but true, false, and 1 is nothing but true. Out of which 732 people in the X and Y test, we have dealt with the X and Y test now. Out of 732 people, 716 people are having nothing with, they are in safe condition. They don't have any heart diseases. But remaining 16 people are having affected with heart disease, cardiovascular heart diseases. Here you can see the precision recall F1 support score. Support is nothing but number of occurrences, that how many people are affected. It shows, support column shows how many number of occurrences. And precision table is nothing but it is in the percentage type. And the recall is nothing but it shows the ratio of the result. And the average of the precision and recall is nothing but a F1 score. And the classifier coefficient. Come to classifier coefficient, it is nothing but values of the input, nothing but X. We are having 15 features, nothing but 15 inputs here. For all the inputs, we are having a coefficient. The classifier had given a coefficient for all the attributes, 15 attributes. Sample data. Now coming to next sample data. Sample data equals X test. It's nothing but it is used to find the dimension, the size of each and every column. For finding each and every column, we are using sample data equals X test function. So friends, we have dealt with the dimension till now. And for class label, if we have one or more instances in our array, means it can be passed into predicate function. Predicate function is nothing but in our model to predict the class values, class label values. For each instance in an array, in our model, we have predicted our class value was class label as 0. We have got our class label. We have got our class label value as 0 by predicting a point at certain point. And we are predicting and X and Y's coefficient also. We are predicting X and Y's coefficient also. The X coefficient value is 0.95% and sorry, 0.95, and Y coefficient is 0.0435. This is our actual project, and this is all about our project. My friend Chetan will tell you the feature scope of a model, and afterwards I'll show you the demo of a project, how the actual how to import all the packages into Jupyter Notebook. Over to you, Chetan.
Good morning, friends. My name is Chetan Dayar. I am from 6th SEM Department of INST. My friend Ravandra recently explained the project about the cardiovascular disease. So guys, nowadays science is constantly marching forward and modern technologies mean that march toward the future is accelerating all of the time. Scientists are working tirelessly to find ways to predict heart attacks years before any symptoms arise. Because early prediction means early intervention, and early intervention can save lives. Cardiovascular diseases is the leading cause of death in the United States and is responsible for 17% of the national health expenditures, as they expected to increase substantially. Comparative effectiveness research aims to provide the decision makers the evidence needed to evaluate the benefits and harms of the alternative clinical management strategies. CERS has become the priority area for CER. This workshop report provides an overview of CER methods with an emphasis on practical clinical trials and observational treatment comparisons. The report also details recommendations to the National Heart, Lung and Blood Institution for a new framework. The amount of cardiovascular heart diseases can exceed the control line and reach to maximum point. Heart diseases are complicated. Each and every year, lots of people are dying with these diseases. By using this all system, one of the major drawbacks of this work is mainly focus only to application of classified techniques.